driver. The world champion in this category is on row 2. On row 3, we've got Avo Talvar in kart 223 from Estonia and Brian Earden in kart 216 from Holland. On row 4 in kart 236 is Jack Weprin, and Jack is one of the American drivers that we've got here this weekend. He won the finals in rounds 1 and 2 of the Florida Winter Challenge recently, which had a strong international contingent, and he's again been pretty well on the pace here as the karts are released onto the circuit. Ed Brand is alongside him in kart 202, last year's championship runner-up. So 202, one to watch for from the 4th row of the grid. Jessica Batman up from juniors this year as well into the senior category and looking really good this weekend, the young Swede. She lines up on row 5, on the inside of row 5, starting 9th with alongside her number 276, which is the kart driven by Martin Henkel Mortensen, the Dane. Jessica Batman in kart 226, by the way. On row 6, we've got 228, Eugene Dennison, and 284, Antoine Lebesque. On row 7, Ludwig Moran, number 255, and Jola Falter, number 291. On row 8, it's Tadatsuka Makino in kart 280. He is from Japan. And then on row 8, alongside him is Santeri Kallio in kart 272. Sam Shippers up from juniors, looking good in warm-up this morning. He could be one to watch from the 9th row of the grid in kart 219. Shane Daly, number 278, is alongside him. And then on row 10, we've got 269, Carlos Pinto, and 293, Enrique Baptista. On row 11, it's Mart Tsu in kart 289, and Joey Van Splunter in kart 283. Could be a quick driver from the 11th row of the grid there. On row 12, Sten Dorian Pirimagi and Jeremy Lezudier. On row 13, Mark Ferenc and Massimo Assetto. On row 14, Anthony Tak and Andrei Iachenko. On row 15, Beret Turka and Amir Hassan. On row 16, Boris Kolf and Alberto Lagala. And on row 17, Antonio Piccioni and Andrea Zemin. They're on the first of 2 formation laps. And with Philip Moran looking really strong all weekend long and having finished in the top 6 last year, he's a worthy driver on pole position for this race. This is Group C versus D. And Philip was the 3rd fastest overall yesterday. But he's got Kenny Vermeulen alongside, who was almost equally as quick. And then we've got this intrigue, Ken, with Charlie Eastwood right behind on row 2. And Ed Brand, of course, only a little bit back on row 4 of the grid.
Very big names established. Very, very talented juniors stepping up. We've got the perfect mix. Philip Morin is on pole position, joined by Kenny Vermeulen on the front row. Jan Jonk and the world number 1 Charlie Eastwood are row 2. Avo Talvar and Brian Earden, row 3. Jack Weprin from New York on row 4 with Ed Brand, the vice champion in this series. Jessica Bachmann, best of the girls in this class, completes row 5 with Martin Henkel Mortensen, the Dane, a Scandinavian row 5. 10 laps for race 2, qualifying heat 2 for groups C and D in seniors. Philip Morin, easy to identify with the light blue race suit. Beautiful level break there, that would seem, and they are racing, and Philip Morin takes the lead from pole position. Jan Jonk has tucked himself in nicely, but Kenny Vermeulen going for the big wide sweep. It has worked to some degree. He's in 3rd place. Momentarily looked as if he might have been shipping 3rd place. The Tony kart there, I think I saw Alvo Talvar, Jack Weprin also getting a good start, if I'm reading that correctly, but a change in 2nd place. That looks as if that was that Kenny Vermeulen going through, perhaps?
Yes, it is. Getting back to 2nd place. He ran a little bit wide, didn't he, with that wide line through the hairpin. Didn't quite pay off because he went all over the curbs, but he snatched the place back. Further back, Ken, there was a massive pile-up. 7 karts involved in an incident through the first corner, but they've all got going again.
Well, coming down to the 3/4 lap distance in this particular one, and Philip Morin has put a dozen lengths between himself and kart number 253, Kenny Vermeulen. Kenny Vermeulen feeling the heat a little bit behind him, though. The end of the opening lap, that must be the biggest part of a second in favour of Philip Morin. It is indeed 1.096 from Kenny Vermeulen and Jan Jonk, and it's Charlie Eastwood making his presence felt in 4th place.
And change for 2nd there, because Vermeulen drops from 2nd to 4th because he got passed through turn 1 by Jonk and by Eastwood. So Charlie Eastwood up into the top 3 now, and Charlie Eastwood there you can see coming onto the back straight. He's lining up a move for 2nd place. He's got his toe in the door, dives down the inside. It's nip and tuck still. He just about forces his way through, and with Jonk delayed through the apex of the turn, Vermeulen gets by him as well on the way out of the turn. So Vermeulen back up to 3rd, Eastwood is 2nd. And look, Ken, this is giving a nice healthy lead already to the race leader, Philip Moran here. He's got something like 5-6 kart lengths advantage already.
Well, the advantage when there's a good scrap for second, third, fourth and fifth and the like is the guys in front, isn't it? And Philip Moran must be feeling, hey, this is just about as good as I could have planned it. He will have increased that lead. It was 1.09 of a second. It's now 1.778. Philip Moran, so 1 3/4 seconds over the field. The chasing pack led by Charlie Eastwood and Kenny Vermeulen just looking a little bit further down the screen. Have to say a little bit disappointed to see Joey Van Splunteren, a former champion, only in 15th place. To be honest, Joey did say, Ken, please don't expect too much of me. I'm not really going so well here. Jessica Backman, who qualified well yesterday and started on the 5th row. She's spilt some places in the early stage, running 18th at the moment. But looking beyond Jessica, I don't think there's any other big names that we see outside of the top 20.
Ed Brand really coming through now. At the end of the last lap, he picked up 4th place. He's just gone into 3rd position. So 2:02 is Ed Brand, runner-up last year. He switched teams this year. He's driving for Intrepid. He's in the orange, red and black colours, and he's up to 3rd place. Vermeulen down to 4th, and we also had through into the right-hander at turn 6 a change for 5th because Jan Jonk has been dropping down the order. So Dennison has come into 5th place. Henkel Mortensen is into 6th. Jan Jonk is down to 7th place now in the 221 kart. The race leader is Philip Moran. He's nearly 2 seconds clear and having you must be surprised at this, quite a straightforward race for the time being. There he comes. Look at the gap that he's got on the way into your shot there. There in 2nd place is Charlie Eastwood, the world champion from Ireland. And then it is the British driver, Ed Brand, in 3rd place. With Kenny Vermeulen, though, still breathing down his neck, having lost that place. Kenny is still very much in the mix, the Belgian driver, and the Techno kart running in 4th place. There they come into your screens now if you're watching online, 3rd and 4th. And I think they're being caught by, in the blue race suit, Dennison as well, aren't they?
Just looking at Eugene Dennison, looks to me very, very impressive. He's a guy we saw on his own terms, if you will, on his own track in South Africa in the Nationals last autumn, and he didn't go particularly well. But hey, this is a good effort coming over to Europe. Has been racing in Europe previously, and we have such a fund of, almost, if you like, a heritage of South African racers in the Rotax Euro Challenge. Eugene Dennison, not the biggest name to come out of South Africa perhaps, but he's certainly going well in this one. But Philip Moran at the moment must be wanting the checkered flag to come, thinking this just can't keep going. It's just a little bit easy. Philip Moran in a lead of the biggest part of 2 seconds. It was 1.9 seconds. We're halfway round lap 5 of 10.
Just shows the importance, Ken, doesn't it, of getting a good first lap if you're at the front while everybody else battles and sorts themselves out. In most of this 2-second lead, he really picked up in the first lap and a half of the race. It's getting tighter for second, though. Here they come into your shot. If you're watching online, through the last turn, the right-hander. It's not really an overtaking opportunity, but it does bunch them back together. Eastwood is in 2nd place. Then you got Brand in 3rd into the first corner. They go on the brakes, a little bit wide from Eastwood, but he gathers it back onto the racing line. Behind them, right behind them, still in 4th place, is Kenny Vermeulen. These three having a real scrap here. And you sense if this was a final, they might be a bit more feisty, but they're aware that's a long way to go yet.
Oh, and there's the move, Chris, because Ed Brand, I think he caught Charlie Eastwood napping a little bit, didn't he? Charlie didn't really seem to defend that move, and Ed executed it very quickly.
Track knowledge, that, wasn't he? He knew exactly where to put that kart, and he knew a gap might appear. Good clean move, though. It wasn't a risky move. It was a bit last dash, but he knew he could get through. And I think probably he was feeling the pressure from Kenny Vermeulen and wanted to shake him off. So he's up to 2nd place now, Ed Brand. Eastwood in 3rd position. Philip Moran maintaining this 1.9 second lead. They're as quick as him, but they can't close the gap now. They're coming up towards the end of lap number 6. Head down for the race leader. And now Charlie Eastwood, Ken, has got an opportunity to get 2nd place back.
Yes, I think Ed Brand had clearly closed the door there, hadn't he? We saw on screen and we saw with the naked eye on circuit that Charlie got the draft. He certainly got the toe. He got close enough, but Ed Brand just positioned that kart to say, no, Charlie, the door is firmly closed. And as you said in commentary, Chris, when Ed Brand went past Charlie Eastwood previously, it was to some degree track knowledge, and I think so there. I don't think Ed needed to know exactly where Charlie was. He knew where he could position that kart and there was no road past. However, to coin a phrase, Charlie's climbing all over Ed at the moment. And again, the beneficiary, our runaway race leader, Philip Moran. We're coming round to the end of the 7th lap and Philip Moran has got 2 seconds on the field.
Yeah, just keep an eye on this second place battle. Eastwood's pretty quick coming out of the last turn. He gets a better run. Look, he'll come into the shot in a moment, and he's right on the tail of Ed Brand. He looks to the inside, has a glance, but Brand is late enough on the brakes to be able to fend him off. Kenny Vermeulen in there in third. I think the next group of carts is starting to catch them up as well. Dennison in fifth, Henkel Mortensen in sixth, Jan Jonk still seventh, Talvar is eighth, Jack Weprin, the American, up to ninth place. That's a decent drive. And rounding out the top 10 at the moment is the 216 card of Dutch driver Brian Earden. And look at this, change for second. Is there Brand ahead now of Eastwood? No, he keeps the position, keeps him at bay. But again, Eastwood was quick coming onto the straights and was all over Ed Brand as they went into the turn 6 right-hander. Coming up towards the end of the lap now. Here they come in shot. I don't think he's close enough to do anything at the end of the lap here. But I'll be interested to see what sort of run Charlie Eastwood gets onto the back straight, because he looks pretty strong through this next turn. The gap for the leader has grown slightly to just over 2 seconds now. I don't think Charlie Eastwood is quite close enough coming out of the turn this time to attack Ed Brand, but on the brakes he closes right up to the tail of last year's vice champion.
Just looking a little bit further down the charts, Joey van Splinteren, the former champion, running 12th at the three-quarter race distance. Another Dutchman who has been very successful in years gone by, Joel Affolter. He's tinkered a little bit with CIK Racing. He's running 13th at the three-quarter race distance. Maybe both of those Dutchmen we would have expected a little bit more from. We've mentioned that Jack Weprin is in the top 10, the United States driver. The other United States driver, Antoni Patak, is in the top 20, running 16th. So the guy with not a lot of experience in Europe going well in 16th place. We've just got the end of lap 9 to call, and there's the last lap flag. Oh, and a driving standards flag, Chris. Not sure if we've got the driving standards flag administered to Sten-Dorian Pirimarji. He's running in 14th place. Driving standards flag to Sten-Dorian Pirimarji. And to add insult to injury, the girl has gone past him. Jessica Backman drives past Pirimarji way down. Half a lap to go.
Yeah, and Sam Shippers has just had a moment through turn 10, so he's just been on the grass and he's towards the back of the field now in the 2-1-9 car. We saw Dennison and Jonk having a good battle on the previous lap. Dennison picking up a place, so he's well up into the top 6 now, but it's this battle for second place, which is still very much alive, with Eastwood coming under attack there, coming into your shot from Ed Brand, who wants the place back. Vermeulen is right behind him as well, the Belgian driver. Irishman at the head of the group, British driver in the middle of the group, and a Belgian driver just behind. They come through the final turn, and the checkered flag comes out, and the race win goes to Philip Moran. Second place to Eastwood. It's tight for third, but Ed Brand just about hangs on to it. Vermeulen closed up to him and almost drew alongside, but has to settle for fourth place. Henkel Mortensen in fifth, Jan Jonk sixth across the line, Dennison in seventh, Talvar eighth, Weprin in ninth, and then Earden rounding out the top 10 drivers. Makino was 11th, Van Splinteren, Affolter, Batman and Patak just behind. Good race that then. 10-lap race. Philip Moran will rarely in his career have an easier race than that. He has to be said. He got on with the business, to be fair to him. He said a very good first lap and was able to get away from them. But we had an intriguing battle for second place. And good to see, from his point of view, Ed Brand definitely on the pace come race day. Here then, confirmation of the results. Philip Moran, the winner by 2 seconds. Doesn't sound a lot if you're not a regular kart race fan, but 2 seconds is an eternity in kart racing. You're lucky if you win by 2/10 normally. Charlie Eastwood, second place, strong as we thought he would be. Ed Brand coming up from the fourth row of the grid to take third position. Kenny Vermeulen in fourth place. Martin Henkel Mortensen and RS competition teammate Jan Jonk, fifth and sixth, the two Danish drivers. Eugene Dennison, the South African, in seventh place. Avo Talvar, the Estonian, was eighth. Jack Weprin coming through in ninth place, then the New Yorker, the American driver. And then in 10th place, Brian Eden. Tadatsuka Makino, the Japanese driver, made up a little bit of ground from the 8th row of the grid. He finished just outside the top 10 in 11th. Van Splinteren was 12th. And he came up from the 11th row of the grid. Jola Folter, 13th. Jessica Batman, 14th in her senior race debut. Antoni Patak, Sten-Dorian Pirimarji and Shane Daly were 15th, 16th and 17th in that second race of the day. And then 18th place, Enrique Batista, Jeremy Lezudier and Antoine Lepesque rounding out the top 20 drivers. The rest of the runners you can see there. Sam Shipper's disappointment for him because he was competitive here in juniors last year and went quick in warm-up this morning, but involved in an incident or two, I think, in that race, and certainly had a spin towards the end of the race, coming towards the end of the lap, coming into the left-hander at turn 10, and ends up down in 31st. And 3 did not start that race. Massimo Assetto, Antonio Piccioni and Andrea Zemin, the Gold Kart Racing team, and there's a reason for that, Ken.
Yes, I think that they've decided, Chris, that they're not competitive, and rather than come to grid totally uncompetitive, they've withdrawn from the meeting. Okay, Tiff's talking to the world number 1, Charlie Eastwood, down there. Let's go and